In this video, we're going to create a pop art effect by using selection and using hue and saturation, similar to what we used on Monday, but we're adding a few new tools. So here's the end product, what we're going to try to be working for. We're starting with our blank canvas here, and I've uploaded a picture of a duck. So you can just open that up, copy it, and paste it. Easy enough, and now I have my duck on my layer. This picture is way too big, so I'm going to make sure I transform it I'm going to scale it. And you could try to like drag this by yourself, but sometimes that'll take out what's called the aspect ratio. That's the width to the height, and I want to have this button in the middle here, so there's an easier way to kind of like make sure that proportions all stay the same, and that's just to the tool is up here for a reason. So I'm going to just take this slider and make sure that this is locked, because that will lock the width and the height. I'm going to move this all the way down. Okay, cool, stays kind of the same, and let me move it just a little bit up because I'm going to have this. Oop, look what happens when let me do it again, sorry. Okay. And let me move that down again. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we want to remove this background, right? So we looked at last week a few selection tools. We have an object, a pretty clear object in our video, and that's why I used kind of this green screen. So I'm going to just choose this duck here in the middle. Now here's a new tool that we're going to use, not a tool, but a new trick we're going to learn, which is to select the opposite, right? Because I want to keep the duck, so I want to select the inverse, the opposite of it, and delete the opposite. Cool. So now I have my duck ready. I'm going to press Control D to deselect, and there's my duck. Okay, I'm still on the selection tool, so let me move that off, and let me have my duck up here. Okay, doing great so far. So now I need a little bit of a background for my duck, so I'm going to make a new layer here. And by the way, we always want a name, so Rubber Duck. And we want to go to our background layer for this rubber duck, and we're going to use our rectangle selection tool. So kind of reinforcing some concepts we did. I want to create a background here. I'm going to fill that background with a color. I'll also use the foreground or background, but it's just easier just to pick the color as you're doing it. So pick a color that you like. That's cool. Okay, got this guy. Great. I want to do the color that I selected. Mode is normal. Everything good. Okay, so now I have my background, right? And I have my rubber duck, and I have my background. So now what I want to do is I want to make an adjustment layer, and in order to do that, there's a few things we can do here. Okay. First thing is I could just adjust this particular duck and this particular image. So I could do that, which is fine. So if I take this rubber duck, this is the easier way. If I go to Image, Adjustments, and I change the hue and saturation here, I could change the hue and saturation of my duck. Okay, and create it brighter, darker. Okay, we can do pop art effects, so let me make it a little darker, brighter here. Okay. We don't want to colorize, so if yours is selected with colorize, that will do that. We don't want to do that. We want to adjust all the hue and all the saturation, not make it a color, and that's it. So pretty much I have my rubber duck, and I have my my background here. Okay. The other way to do it is through the adjustment layer. Sorry, and so. If I do it that way, so I'll show it just one more time so you guys can kind of see it. Copying my rubber duck, making a new layer here, pasting is probably good. Yeah, okay, good. And I want to edit, I want to transform it. Okay, fine. Make sure that's locked all the way down. Okay, cool, good. Got my rubber duck. Okay, and I'm going to select my rubber duck with my object selection tool. Should select this bad boy. Make sure you're on the right layer. Good. I'm going to make sure I select the inverse, and then I'm going to delete the inverse. Good, done. And my rubber duck, now move him over. Okay, so you could make an adjustment layer here, right, instead. So once I make a background, let me just copy this, move this bad boy over, cool. All right, and if I want to change the color, I can. But let's just keep it like this for now. We're gonna, for our end product, have 4 different kind of backgrounds. But let's see what happens when we take this rubber duck and we add an adjustment layer to it. So if I do new adjustment layer, and let's say I do hue and saturation at this point, and oh, wait a second, they're both kind of moving together. Okay, this is fine, right? The only thing that we'll have to do is we're going to have to merge it down so that it's just working on this particular layer. Right, so right now, once the hue and saturation is selected, it influences all the other layers together, and so that's why it's changing everything. But if I just, once I'm happy with it, if I merge it down, then my rubber duck and my background will only influence that layer, that hue and adjustment. So that's like kind of the other piece here, is to make sure that we have that, right? And then what's great here is basically you're just going to do this a few times, right? So let me make sure I have a background here that I like. I'm going to take this background off, make a new background with my rectangle selection tool, and I'll fill it, and let me make this one, you know, kind of a, I don't know, neon green, I don't know what I'm calling that, or, you know, purple, whatever. This is where you have like creative liberty. You can do whatever color you want, and great. Okay, so you're making kind of this pop art effect here, and you're doing that with the rubber duck. For those of you who are more advanced, you can have one of a few options. At this point, you can even try to maybe further create this pop art effect, because if you look at our inspiration, okay, in our inspiration, the different elements of, you know, the hair, the makeup, the lip, even, I mean, where we can get into, as you know, as many things are changing in this as you know, as this person has, Marilyn Monroe. So we can one of two things. Either at this point we can do this for our rubber duck. So hey, instead of selecting the whole rubber duck, let me see if I can somehow select his beak only. So I'm going to left click and hold, see if this picks up on the fact that I have a beak there. Okay, cool. And then I can image adjust that. And then deselect. So just like kind of look at the different elements. So that's option 1 for those of you who are looking for the challenge. Option 2 is to actually choose either a celebrity or an athlete and do kind of the same thing, but just with different you know, with different whatever. So eyebrows or eyes, like make different eye colors, make different hair color, whatever it is, using some of the different tools. So you might have to use a different, you know, selection tool, maybe even the lasso or polygon lasso, but that's just kind of more on the advanced end. Okay, so I hope this video is pretty easy to follow. Again, we're reinforcing ideas about selection. We are working on masks, layer masks and adjustments, and we're adjusting our images and manipulating our images to make this cool pop art effect. All right, thanks guys, and hope this video was helpful.